Welcome back to K Chat with me, your host, Kayla Morales. We chat all things from love to business to spirituality, health and wellness, and everything in between. This is a space of growth, understanding, and meaningful connection. And I'm so excited to share this episode with you all. So let's get to chatting. Today's guest is undeniably my favorite person on this planet, a friend, a mentor, an inspiration, and so much more to me. Growing up, I could chat with my mom about anything. However, I don't think we've ever had a specific conversation on motherhood. So today I am so excited to welcome my one and only mom to the podcast. Hi, Mom.
Hi. Hi.
Thank you for doing this with me. I'm excited. I feel like we haven't sat down and had a conversation specifically on this topic. So I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about it. And yeah, I say we just jump right into it. So, what were your thoughts before becoming a mom on being a mom? So your thoughts on motherhood before you had to actually experience motherhood.
I didn't actually think about motherhood before becoming a mother.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing because I was the oldest of six.
Uh-huh.
So being the oldest, you're always taking care of your siblings. But I can honestly say I had a trial motherhood when Talisa and JR came along.
Oh yeah. So that's
That's the big age difference, right?
yeah, for the audience, that's my youngest aunt and uncle, and they're pretty close in age with my oldest sister. So my mom kind of helped parent them when they were babies. So yeah, I think I'm kind of the same way. I haven't really thought about motherhood much. Um, I just try to experience life as it comes again. Can't think ahead too much.
I think most of the people in our family are like that.
Yeah. What were your favorite parts about your parents growing up?
I definitely looking back now, not while it was happening, but looking back, I can definitely appreciate the different stages of my mother.
Yeah.
So she was about 16 going on 17 when she had me.
Mhm.
So when you're the firstborn of a teenage mother, you get to experience different things. And I got a chance to see grandma in her early 20s, and you know someone in their early 20s is not the same person as someone in their 30s.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my favorite part, watching grandma grow
Yeah.
while I was being.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You probably got to meet so many different versions of her. Which is awesome. It kind
Definitely.
of reminds me of the show This Is Us, like how they kind of flash back and forth between time. Um, what were your favorite parts about your dad?
Grandma always tried to make sure that we saw our father at least every other year during the summer.
Mm.
So she never spoke bad about him. So for me, I can't speak for my siblings, but for me, he was a special. I mean, everybody knew him in our community, being in Middletown, being in Pine Island or Goshen, in the migrant worker community. Everybody knew who Jacob was. So to me, he was like my hero. He was like the Marlboro man. He
Yeah.
was very special.
Aw, that's sweet. I was thinking too, both of them migrated from Puerto Rico. And so they were both probably, I mean, obviously migrant workers, but also especially grandma since she came over so young, probably just kind of figuring it all out too, like while she was like parenting you guys. So that's interesting to think about, like, I don't know, just like where she was at. How do you think their parenting shaped your parenting?
it's just like I never compared.
Yeah.
You
But I
know,
think it has to be something, mom, like something you thought, oh, when I was little, like, oh, I don't really want to take that from her. Or, oh, I really like that she does that. I'm gonna do that. Like there's some things, like there's some things for me I know I would do differently, and some things I'll definitely take from.
right. I know one thing for sure was you know, like grandma went from being not a party animal, but you know, like we would have family parties to all of a sudden you were Christian and we got to wear skirts and we have to wear, you know, our dress code was changed, our bedrooms were changed. It was like, hold up.
Yeah,
I was allowed to have the posters on my wall, and the next thing I know, we have to take them down, you know? So it went from one drastic to another. And that's one thing I made sure with my children. I didn't pick their religion. I allowed them to pick their religion. I allowed them to explore what religion they wanted to be. And, you know,
yeah,
if you wanted to visit a church, go right ahead. And if you want to visit 3 church at the same time, be my guest. It could be a Baptist, a Catholic, Jew, whatever you want, a Catholic.
yeah. I think you did a good job at letting us explore in other aspects too, not just religion, letting us kind of figure out things for ourselves. But you've always given a good like guidance in that, like you would still encourage like having like a faith, but you didn't like pressure us in having a faith. It was more like this is
Right.
like a great thing to try out, but if you don't, it's okay. I think I really appreciate that about you, because I mean that it's allowed me to be who I am. So you gave us like the freedom to like grow in any way we wanted to grow without like overbearing us too much, which is cool.
I think that was my main goal with all 3 of you, is allowing you guys to be yourselves
Yeah.
in every aspect. I admit, like in the beginning, with my firstborn, she was like Ellie. She was perfect. I
Mhm.
mean, she learned how to read early. I mean, she got straight A's. It was easy.
Yeah.
So then when my second one, Kayla, you know, you didn't get the good grades like Alessia. So I had to realize different people have different personality, and children are the same way. They're different.
Yeah.
So
I feel like,
that's when I figured, okay, I have to step back, let them be their own individual person.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's a part of motherhood that I think a lot of people don't think about going into it, is how you really have to start to balance different personalities in a new way too, you know?
Right.
But I mean that probably comes with it. It's probably something you guys grow into. Um, what struggles did you face being a single mom?
Mm. In Middletown, there was no struggle, honestly, because I think I want to say like 90% of the population are single moms in Middletown. I'm sorry, Middletown, but that's the truth. It was actually coming down when we started living in Florida that I actually noticed there was a lot more married couples and the awkwardness. And when you went to a school function, there was always a couple with their child, and here I am with my children.
Yeah.
The baseball field, the same scenario.
How did it like
And
make you feel? Did it like, yeah, just I guess what did it make you feel like?
at first, it made me feel awkward.
Mm.
And then after a while, you start seeing how, like open house, how a teacher automatically would talk more to a parent, you know, like a family type of thing, than the single mom.
There's like a bias there. Yeah.
Right. It was just a feeling. And then when you go to teacher conference, you can also feel how they would blame, or if the grades going up and down, about what's going on at home. How's the home environment? And you're like, but I honestly don't know if the teacher was asking the same questions to the
Yeah.
family, like, because I'm not there, you know. So
Yeah.
it's all in my little head, you know. So you
Yeah.
really don't know.
Yeah. That I feel like that would weigh on me, and probably like affect my mental health sometimes. And I think about like you being a single mom, but I also think about you being a single mom also to brown kids. So like during the time too, like I remember if we would travel, there would be like a safety talk about like how like not
Yeah,
everyone appreciates families like us. And like, you know, we would have
right.
to um so like did you feel awkwardness around that? Like did it ever make you feel like uncomfortable that you didn't really look exactly like me?
It did not make me feel uncomfortable, but I was very aware that it can make other people feel uncomfortable.
Mm,
So when we were in New York and we would do our family trip down to Florida, and we're driving down I-95, and I know I'm going to go through these southern states that at the time didn't exactly accept,
yeah.
the biracial, and it was obvious. And but it was not only because you were dark. I also would, when it was just me and Ellie making these trips, I also had that conversation with her because she always liked her Mama Raka.
Mhm,
Mama Raka was a brown doll.
mhm.
So like I always had to explain to her, okay, if you're gonna bring Mama Raka, this has to be done, this has to be done. And I just wanted my children to be safe.
Yeah.
I mean, like for the longest time, I didn't buy black hoodies for Andy.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
you see what's going on in the news, and you want to make sure your children are safe. So you
Yeah.
try to avoid those situations or prepare them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you did a good job at that too. And definitely preparing us to be safe on every level. Like we were very like informed about what's going on in the world. So I mean that's cool. Crystal, I was talking to Crystal about doing this with you, and one of the questions she asked was, how did you balance out being a friend and being a parent? Um, which I thought was a good question for us to know.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't. But it was like it wasn't like it happened overnight. It definitely was like a building thing. I think it started back when you guys did sports. I never did sports. So I'm on the sideline, and I had to let you guys learn how to do the sports by what the coach say, but also give you advice and give you like a cheering thing. So
Yeah.
I think that prepared me for when you guys got into middle school, and you guys have more like I think actually before middle school, like fifth and sixth grade, you guys start looking at boys or any looking at girls like that, and not stepping in,
Yeah.
listening first.
Mm.
One thing I did notice with all three of you, you guys talk a lot when you're in the car.
Aw.
There was something about not, I don't know, like the conversation was easier when you're in the car. So
Yeah.
if I felt like something was bothering one of you guys, I would, hey, let's go to Denny's, or and that way you guys would automatically talk, and I won't interrupt. Just listen, because that's all anybody wants. It's just someone to listen to them.
Yeah. Oh, mom, that makes me want to cry because I can think about like big conversations I had, like, I don't know, like the first time I got cheated on or like my heart was broken. Like, I can literally remember just sitting in the front seat and like talking about it. That makes me, yeah, it makes me want to cry. Like, those are really good memories, you know? So
Something about the front seat of the car. Every child will talk.
yeah, I love that. It's like therapeutic. That's so sweet. I want to go back. So we were talking about you raising us. What like how did all of this affect your mental health? Being a young, like I mean, you weren't that young, but you're in your 20s.
Right.
Um, being a single mom and like trying to figure out like where you're gonna go in your own on your own path. So like how did you kind of like map out your life and how did you navigate that like mentally, you know?
Right. I mean, ever since I mean back in high school, I knew that I wanted at least two daughters.
Mhm.
After my first
Tell,
pregnancy,
tell a story about the picture you bought. I wish we had the picture because it's like you need the reference, but you can explain it.
I know, it's in storage.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in high school, my boyfriend just like like left me or whatever. I was at ShopRite for one reason or another, and I saw a picture of two little girls. Um, the it was the older one was darker, and the younger one was lighter. But it was obviously it was racial, it was mixed children,
Mhm.
so biracial children. So I I bought it.
Yeah.
I bought it, and it put a smile on my face. I bought the picture and I said, these are going to be my daughters.
And in the picture, the
Mhm.
one is a lot lighter than the other one. One's a lot darker, and that's
Yes.
how me and my sister are. I'm sorry, keep going. So yeah,
I, I bought it and I like visualized that those were my two daughters. At the time, I didn't have names, of course. They were just faces, but I knew I was gonna have two daughters.
and we literally look exactly like the girls in the picture. It's so crazy. It's like manifestation on another level. Praying for something. Um. Oh, okay. I cut you off about the question was the mental health question. How did you navigate being a single mom? But then I asked you to tell that story in between. So yeah, how did it like mentally? How did it like affect you? Like I'm sure it affected like your exhaustion levels and like running around town, like balancing all of our different personalities, trying to also work to survive. Like there's just like all
Right.
levels. I mean, to motherhood in general, but then obviously the added level of being a single mom and all of that. So
Um, at after having Ellie, everything, I didn't have an issue with it. I never had this idea of, oh, I'm gonna graduate high school, go to college, get married. I never planned that out. I
mhm,
never had that type of vision. I did have a vision of becoming a motherhood with or without a man.
yeah,
That was just, it was the norm for me.
mhm,
If you got married and had children, okay. If you didn't get married and had children, that's okay too.
yeah,
So for me, it was the norm, and I expected to have these, children, and that's it. I knew I wanted to become a mother. That was final.
that's sweet.
It was later on, uh, I want to say after having three children, that it got complicated. Only because then you have more bills and you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was
but
probably
the
really fun
older,
with just Ellie at first, like traveling and stuff.
oh yeah, it was fun. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It sounds like, I mean, yeah, it just
Ellie was my little buddy.
yeah,
Ellie was like my little buddy because like if my car broke down, I was like, yeah, so what? Like, dump the car. Let's take the short line. And we would literally take the short line down to Florida and do whatever. Get enough money and take a Greyhound
yeah,
back up to New York, take the train, whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Ellie was it was fun.
That's
She was
sweet.
my little buddy. She still is my buddy, but
Yeah. I feel like you were really good at like making all of us feel special in each like special way. Like you would do little things like wake us up to go to Denny's at night and stuff like that. Like, where did that come from? Did your parents do similar things? Or was it just like your idea, like you really wanted a brownie and late night? Like,
it actually came from Paula.
oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So Paula used to babysit us,
Okay.
and
Explain
us
who Bola
meaning.
is for the audience.
I'm sorry.
Explain who Bola is, like what part,
Oh, okay.
like cousin.
Paula is my aunt.
Okay.
So right, she's married into the family.
Mhm.
Her husband is my mother's brother,
Yeah.
and she got married young. I think she was like maybe 14 or 15, whatever. I know she was young. So she she babysat us, but I was more like her friend than her babysitting me.
Mhm.
I'm almost positive I'm older than her oldest son. Yeah, but anyway, that doesn't matter. She would put everyone to take a nap, and if I fell asleep, she would wake me up.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. And she would like we would do one-on-one things, like it could be like math problems, it could be crossword problems, it
Aw.
could be silly things, it could have been knitting. So I knew that how special I felt because I got that one-on-one with her.
Mhm.
And when it came to grandma raising us, her being a single mom, grandma was more like a workaholic, and she was constantly working. She was constantly going to school. When she graduated one thing, she would do another thing. Yeah. So I knew with my children, I wanted them to feel special in their own way,
Yeah.
separate ways. Um, so yeah, that's where I also felt like if you're having a hard day, then I would make it a point that that's a child that I will wake up. There was also a coworker that I had a long time ago, um, Betty Rubino. That was her name.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, her children asked her, well, who was her favorite child, and she said, "Whoever is sick is my favorite,"
Mhm.
meaning whoever needed her the most.
Yeah.
So, and that was another reason, like, okay, as you guys grew up, gotten older, and you needed me more, whoever needed me more at that point, that's who I would say, hey, get up, let's go to Denny's.
Yeah. I love that. That's so sweet. What do you miss about when we were little?
I actually miss different stages of each child.
Okay, say all of them.
Yeah. So for Alessia, I miss running around New York City with her.
Mhm.
That's definitely was the highlight of our relationship, that running around and the exploring, and and it wasn't the job itself. It was the excitement in her eyes when she had to do certain things,
Oh yeah.
and the whole new experiences. Like there was one thing that she had to lay on a box, and she kept looking at me like, I can't visualize what this is going to be at the end. And when she saw the magazine, how it ended up being that she was flying, you know, that excitement. So that stage of life I miss. Um, you definitely was high school.
Yeah.
I think between middle school and high school, you like transformed. I know in middle school, you were president and you were coming out of your shell.
Yeah.
But I think it was definitely in high school, you stopped being Ellie's little sister and you became Kayla,
I agree. Yeah.
you know? So yeah, that I miss watching that happening.
Oh yeah.
Um, Andy, I think of what I, and I say I think because Andy, like, there was so many different stages.
Mhm.
When I say Andy's name, I think of him when
What?
he was 4 and he was hiding,
Yeah.
and we're like searching for him, and then he's like in a boat in Newburgh.
Yeah.
But I also see him with all this curly, untamed hair, just
Yeah.
wild, trying to put a football helmet
Oh
on that, and like it didn't work.
yeah.
So yeah, I missed those two stages when he was little, and then when he was like in the third, fourth grade.
Um, I wonder like sorry, I'm not sure where I was going with that question. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask like how is it to support your children's dreams, especially that you had Ellie acting and modeling as a child, and now I'm acting and modeling as an adult. Like how are those like different and or similar? How is that experience different and similar for you?
um, that I definitely have to say it's not easy, but I know from my past experience what it felt like to have a dream and then be blocked from that dream or even trying to follow that dream because you have family obligations.
Yeah.
So that is where I, like said, I'm not doing that to my children. I'm not going to give them the family obligation. I'm not going to give them the family guilt. Uh, if they want to do something, even if I'm against it, I will allow them to do it. I'll let them know that I'm against it. But I'm not like that in every aspect, because I mean, if we're talking about tattoos, it's like, no, hell no. Or piercing. Like I do have a limit. But if we're talking about, moving across country, and you just been out of the house for a year and a half,
Yeah.
so you're, as a mom, you're thinking, girl, you just got your license like 2 years ago. How in the hell are you gonna go across country?
It wasn't even 2 years ago. It was like that year. It was like a
Exactly.
year before. I got it right before I
Yeah,
left for college.
right. And so as a mom, you're like, no, you can't go. Like, are you crazy? But as a woman, I have to step back and be like, she has to fly.
Yeah.
Like, children are a gift from God, but it's not something you keep.
Yeah.
It's like your jewelry, like you wear it and you let it go. You're like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
It's like, I love that. It was so profound. It's like your jewelry. Yes.
like, and then you go, it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
It just, I knew I had to let it go. I did my job. You said they're good citizens, and
Yeah.
that's
And
all.
you still are guiding us and supporting us all the time, which is like sweet. It's not like, which I mean, some family dynamics work like this and it's what's best for them. But for us, it's always been like very like open door policy. Like if this doesn't work out, it's okay. We'll figure it out. What's next? Like, like it's
Right.
always been a collaborative experience. I never felt like once I was 18, I had to go like do like there was no pressure on being like perfect or succeeding in a certain way, like so
Right.
that gave me a lot of liberty to explore and then turn into even more into who I am. So yeah, I'm thankful for that.
You know what I realized though, that, and I don't know if it's something I forgot, but I was talking to my work daughter
Mhm.
anyway, and I don't think I ever gave you guys a curfew. Like, I didn't allow you guys to sleep out.
Yeah, you didn't really give us a curfew, but we were all respectful. You like raised us to respect you and then like let us go, but then we'd come back because it was like we don't need to be out till like 5 in the morning. But if we
Right.
were, we could still come home and be okay too.
Right. Exactly. I
Um,
think that was another thing. I tried not to say no, 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 because watching what happened to me and my siblings, and the more no's that we got, the more sneakier that we got.
yeah, yeah.
And so I didn't want my children to be like sneaking around.
I think that's why we felt safe coming to you with problems, and then I think that's why even our friends would come to you for problems because they didn't feel like they
Right.
could come to their parents. Which it just like I think about like you impacting people in our community like by helping them fill out like FAFSA forms or like just offering your help to kids that didn't really have either the education or the advice or whatever or the care. Like
Right.
I think it's cool that you really opened up your doors to like really whoever, and
Mhm.
you'd be honest too, like if they were doing something wrong, you'd let them know. But I think that was a cool part about you. How did you find identity? I feel like I've seen you in phases, and I feel like the older I get, the more I see you kind of coming into like yourself too in a new way. Like you're like
Right.
into new hobbies right now.
Yes.
But how did you find identity like throughout us growing up and now?
I've always been somebody's mom, you know, or somebody something,
Like,
like in high school, I was either Ina's sister, like I didn't have my own identity, or Darren's girlfriend. That was just the way it was. Um, late, and another aspect, I was like Millie's daughter, you know. Then I want to say after I had kids, then I was Ellie's mom, Kayla's mom, Andy's mom, depending what school I was going to at the time.
Mhm.
When you guys all left the nest, that's it. That's when and I'm not saying I got into any depressed thing, but yeah, it was sad because I got bored. I had nothing else, I didn't have, you know, games to go to
Yeah.
or, little projects. And I didn't have FAFSA forms to fill out.
Yeah.
So then, you get like bored. So I went back to school basically.
Yeah, you did go back to school.
Yeah.
Which is
I went back to school after that. Now I'm done with school. Now I'm bored again. So now I'm exercising.
yeah.
So you find things to do.
Yeah. I think it's cool to see you come into yourself. So proud of you for going back to school, graduating, and then now you're on to like your fitness journey, which is cool to see. Um, yeah, it's fun to see the evolution of people on both like ways. I'll be excited one day to
Right.
have children and see their evolution, but I'm excited to see your evolution too. What advice would you give to someone that's just becoming about to be a mother or entering motherhood?
Follow your instinct. Like I think we all have like this gut feeling of what's right and what's wrong. I and accept help. Yeah. Because yeah, you can look at my scenario and be like, oh, she's a strong woman. She raised those 3 children, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I did not do it by myself.
Yeah,
It takes a village to raise a child. It literally does. I had grandma, I had grandpa. One way or another, I had Randy and I had Andy.
Mhm.
Uh, so if you are a single mother, use common sense. Don't downplay your ex. You liked them at one point, so there's no need to talk bad about him, or her in front of the child or behind the child. Like there's just no need. And there's no need to allow other people to talk bad about that person in front of your child. Like that was totally taboo. I never ever allow anybody to say anything negative about Randy or Andy in front of any of my children.
Yeah.
That was just no, not happening.
Mhm.
So my advice is follow your gut, listen to other people's advice, but at the end of the day, make your own decisions, follow your gut, use common sense, put yourself in your child's shoes.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you hear someone talk bad about your mother or your father?
Mhm. Yeah. That's good advice, Mom.
You're welcome.
Thanks for doing this with me. We're done.
Yay!